There's still no camera. I'm working on that. I put up it on a new tripod mount, which is pretty sweet. Oh wait, okay. So the camera's here. So now I should have started this sooner, so I would have had time to actually get this working. That's just something from a previous stream. Hey, there we go. Now I just need to adjust everything. Adjust our zoom. Looks like I need to move the green screen over. This is real top notch, high quality. Oh wait, are we working now? It says there's an excellent connection. I don't think I'm still dropping frames. I think I might be. I gotta adjust the camera a little bit. This is what happens when you play with things you shouldn't be playing with. And then you break stuff. Okay, that looks more on par with what I want to see. Let me just get this focus pulled right. There we go. Okay, then that can be paused. I don't need that playing. All right, can anybody just let me know in the chat if this is working now? I believe it should be. I do have the hat. It's weird. I thought there was some fuzzy hanging off of there. Maybe not. Maybe not. Okay. Well, hey, Roberto Orscoro. Hello and welcome. Is the audio coming through properly? Can you hear everything? Dropped frames are flying up again. What is going on here? Why is this not working as it should? Let me just pull up. YouTube's not retrieving enough data. Again, that could be just because I'm not doing anything right now. I'm trying to just find good old mind test game. There we go. And then we're just going to go ahead and do... I'll just call it jam. I don't think jam already exists. I hope. Okay, we are in. Now, theoretically... But, yeah, why is it dropping all of these frames? I don't understand. I suppose I could unmute desktop audio. I don't know if there's any real reason to do that. Well, I'm hoping this is working. I don't know if it is. Microphone audio seems like maybe a smidge loud. Let me just drop that down a little bit here. Okay, well, I'm hoping this is working as it should be. Oh, I'm not in creative. Let me get into creative. I kind of need that to explain my idea. Now, there's a few... I could have just done grant me all, I suppose, huh? There's a few small problems I might have with my game idea here. But I guess I'll figure them out as I work through things. So, plan is, and this is really a bad spot on the map to be to demonstrate this good. How do I get the... No, I don't want to zoom in. I want the map. I thought the map was F9. Okay, well, I don't know how to get the map. That's fine. I suppose I could really make it brighter again. I'm doing great at this. Sorry, don't worry, Future. Oh, I have literally only figured out how to get this working myself. Kind of had some hiccups starting with. Okay, this looks good. I don't have snow over here too much. Some smooth rolling hills. That's what I'm looking for. So I'm going to have to do... I don't have to do a straight up custom map gen, but I do need to change some map gen settings. I don't know if this stream is working at all. I'm dropping 25% of the frames, and I have no idea why. There is nothing that should be causing that, to my knowledge. Yeah, I'm hoping it's coming through past. I need a large open area. I don't want all these trees. I need grass. So the plan is to do... I don't even know what you would call this. it's not really a tower defense game, but it has some tower defense aspects. There's resource collection. Kind of, I don't want to say city building because you're not building cities at all. But there is some building aspect to it. And then if I have time, there's going to be mobs as well. Why can't I find just a plain? I just want a grassland area. These trees are going to be a problem for my demonstration. So I do have a few things I don't know how to do yet. For one, where's the sun at? There's the sun. So now you can change the picture of the sun, but I don't know if you can change the size of the sun. You know, I might use this snowy flat plane here. This will work. This will work. I might have to try to change the size of the sun, and I don't know if that's doable. So that could make things a little interesting. But then the kind of, I guess, main idea here is you're going to have these, I don't even know, columns, I guess, that you'll build. And then I'm just going to use Mies lamps for my demonstrations because obviously I don't have anything else built. And I'll take some Mies crystals too, not that I actually need those. And while I'm at it, I'll go ahead and take some torches as well because I will need those. So you're going to collect these crystals from on the ground. And I haven't decided on the name yet. I kind of want to call them sunstones. So the backstory is like something, an asteroid collided into the sun and blew it up. Of course, that wouldn't happen because the sun's a gaseous planet. Is it a star? It's a gaseous star. Aren't all stars gaseous? Anyways, an asteroid would just get burnt up or go through it. It wouldn't like fragment it, but that's the idea. The sun's been fragmented. Maybe somebody shot a nuke into it. I don't know. It happened. So when that happened, all of these sunstone fragments came to the Earth because, you know, the sun blew up, and so then these fragments fell. And I mean, until I get the textures and stuff, I'm gonna use Mies crystals for the textures because why not? Maybe Mies crystal shards. It doesn't make any difference which. So you'll go around looking for these in a dark world. There'll still be a day and night cycle, but I want it to stay darker, and I don't know if I can really do that. So here's my problem. I could just do, you know, set time to 0, but then the sun and the moon don't move at all. I still want to have the celestial bodies rotate, but I just want it to kind of always stay at more or less the same level of darkness. Because if the sun is, you know, non-existent, it's been shattered or whatever, there's really not a whole lot of sunlight to bounce off of the moon because the sun is not really providing too much light anymore. So the nighttime still should be a little bit darker, but even at the bright time of day, I don't want it to be super bright because that's kind of the whole purpose of why you're collecting these crystals. So you're going to collect these crystals from something. I'm not sure what yet. The plan isn't particularly to be doing like a lot of mining, I don't think. So maybe there'll be some kind of, you know, entities. You know, some animal creature. I don't know what, alien life form, something that came, and when the sun exploded and all these crystals landed on Earth, this collection of beings were harvesting crystals. So you're going to have to go around and fight these things to get the crystals. And once you get the crystals, there's a few things you'll be able to make with them. One will be like this main light tower thing, which will really just be this top portion. The rest of the tower you could build however you want. And then you'll still have torches. They won't be this bright. And they'll be made with those crystals as well. And some wood. And then to kind of tie this into the theme, Longhorn 311, hey! To tie this into the theme of line of sight, everything needs to be linked together visually. So like this tower here, I could link up to another tower. So I could put a tower out with nothing linking it. Like I could do this, and I can do different heights. If I can get it up there, there we go. So I could do different heights. This tower here I guess I should really build a wall first. And I do kind of have an idea of how this will work. So I'm not too worried about making it work because it should work. I do need to be a little bit higher yet, I suppose, to really sell the whole shtick here of my idea. So line of sight, right? So we have one crystal fire, whatever this thing's gonna be called, torch, lantern, beacon, let's call it that, a crystal beacon here. But its line of sight is blocked by this mysterious wall that just exists for no reason. So I'll shoot a raycast from one to the next, and if it's blocked, it won't link into the network. Now, this matters because an individual beacon like this is susceptible to being attacked by these, whatever the things are, I haven't decided yet. They'll come in and they'll attack it because they want to steal the crystals. And if it's a lone tower like this, they can steal the crystal. But if we punch a hole in here so that our raycast can go through, this gets to the harder part that I don't know how to do. I'm pretty sure it can be done. I want to do a particle, I don't even know what it's called, particle spawner, particle thing between the 2 points to show when they're linked. So there would be some kind of a particle system kind of floating between the two to show they're linked. When it's linked with only one tower, it'll be, I guess, half as likely to have the crystal stolen from it. But then if you put a third tower in, if I get my crystal up there, the third tower, so now this would be linked with two different towers because it's linking to this tower and it's linking to this tower. Also, this one would be linking to that, and this would be linked to both of these, which would make them all immune. Because if they're linked to two or more towers, then the things that are trying to steal the crystals can't steal the crystals. It won't work. It won't let them steal it. So that's kind of that idea. Now the whole torches thing, A, they won't be this bright, and then B, the torches also need to have a line of sight to one of these towers. Now I shouldn't say I can't because none of this is coded yet. Putting multiple torches won't accomplish anything. A torch by itself or with other torches around it does not prevent the creatures from stealing the torch, and the torches themselves they won't burn out, I guess, because they don't really burn, but the crystal will lose its energy, its charge, and it'll become a dead torch, essentially. Which then you can collect, and you can get the dead crystal out of it, and I'll have some sort of like a recharge crystal system in place, so you'll be able to recharge the crystals and then make new torches that still work. Now, if the torch is in line of sight, which this part might get a little trickier, but I don't think it should be too bad. If the torch is in line of sight of a tower, and there is going to be some sort of limitation to this. I don't want to be sending raycasts that are, hundreds of thousands of nodes away. It's going to be limited to something. I haven't figured out the numbers yet. I'm thinking maybe like 20 nodes. I have to see what that actually works out to. The torch will not burn out. Creatures can still steal it, but the creatures will kind of stay away from towers that are more bright. The more bright aspect is a little difficult. So my thinking is, if I don't have a good way of showing this. Let's just take the acacia wood. Okay, so the idea is you build this tower of whatever you want. I don't know what nodes will be available, what I'll steal from my test game, and what will be new custom content. It really depends a lot on how much time I have available. But the idea is you build this tower of whatever, and then you put your crystal thing up top. And then the crystal is going to, when it's placed and has the energy crystal, sun crystal, whatever, sunstone in it, because it's going to be up in the air. Because obviously you want height so that your line of sight isn't impaired by trees and whatever other obstacles are around. But that's going to put your light source up high, which doesn't do a lot of good on the ground. We want to have light on the ground below this as well. So my idea is it'll just do a simple simple little function where it'll just go out. Actually, you know what? Maybe I'll do it like this. Where it'll take, I don't know why I put that one back there. It'll go out whatever number of nodes from the top source, and then it'll just do a drop down till it hits a solid item, and it'll be an invisible light source, so you won't have torches sitting on the ground. But this way, if you're like, have some sort of building, and then you put this tower up, you'll still have light on the ground. So maybe we do one directly here, which I would expect in most cases probably is not going to do anything. Then one node away, and then maybe like 6 nodes away would this be. So that's 2 more. So you have a space of 1 and then a space of 2. And this way, if you had some sort of building, you'd still have some light on the ground. And I suppose at that point, I would probably want to do a diagonal over 5 of each. Probably. I'm thinking that looks pretty good, because then this gives you some nice lighting on the ground. I think here is where I want that. Yeah. So then you could have a decent sized base, and then you'd still have light on the ground around it. These light sources do need to have differing brightnesses as well. So the plan is that there's 2 different variants, and this is all going to play into the cost of them. So they'll be like, I don't know, I guess the main one, you'll start with this when you start the game. So you'll have one of these free, essentially. And then you can make more, but you have to collect crystals to get them. So your torch will be, I don't know, we'll say 1 crystal for the torch. And then you'll have a lower version. You know, do Mies blocks emit light? I can't remember. They do. Not much, though. But, you know, that'll work for this demonstration. Or not. That does not emit nearly enough light. Do I have any other sort of a light source that's cubic? Whoops. I don't think I do within my test game. Is there anything else that would glow? There's lava, but that's gonna... I'm not putting lava out. That's gonna be a mess. I mean, there is the firefly in a bottle. It's not cubic, but it does light up. Yeah, so these are kind of my only choices. So this is what I'm just going to use for the demo here. So this will be, like, I guess, full bright or whatever. And then the lights it's putting out will be full brightness. What's that, light level 14 or whatever? And then this might be, like, light level 10. I got to play around with the light levels, see what's what. And then the torches would be even less than that. And then these would do the same thing. So over here, say we're using light level 14, the main beacon light, and then these torches will be 14. This one over here, the beacon would still be 14, but again, it's in the air, so that doesn't really do a lot of good. But then the lights placed on the ground would be at, I don't know, 10 or 14 or whatever. And then maybe I'll change the pattern that the light kicks out at as well. And because we are dealing with elevation and drops, this would actually work, because it would be counting out the 3 nodes. Is this 3 nodes? 4 nodes, I guess. And then placing a light on the first non-air node it finds, which in this case would be the top of this wall. Would that break the raycast? I don't know. I'm not sure how a raycast... I read a little bit of the Lua API last night about raycast, because I've never worked with them before. And it looks like it uses selection boxes. So I think from here to there, I think the raycast would be fine. So I'm assuming it's going from center of node to center of node. And I think we would just miss that torch. But I believe I can also, because this would be an invisible air node. So I don't think the raycast would connect to it. I've never worked with them. I don't know. I'm hoping not, because that could become an issue. Although not necessarily. So here's my plan. I don't know how to demonstrate any of this in the game. There's really not. So let's go to a different game that I can demonstrate this in. It's going to be a very wonky demonstration, but it will work, and I know it will work because I've done it, which is why I need this other game. Where is it? We need like a search function to find games. There's too many games, and I don't know my alphabet well enough. Okay, so in my game from last year, yeah, how do you turn on the mini-map? I thought it was F9. Anyway, we had this dealio. I don't even remember how to do this now. And I've broken things. Why can't I click? I think I need to change from... Oh boy, what's going on here? I remember this was an issue before. Turn on the minimap. Square mode recommended. Yes, well, I know that, but I can't click on anything, so... Oh, but now I can. Oh, no, that doesn't make any sense. Sure, I don't want to do that. I just wanted to get the food out of my hand. Okay, so in this game, you had the option where you could run out and you could discover resources for your villagers. So like I could go out here and I could punch on these different stones, which for some reason now when I pick a stone up, I can't. This didn't used to happen. This used to work. What happened to that broke things? Anyway, you could punch onto different resources. I don't know why it doesn't work anymore. I can't select anything. What happened? Luanti, what have you done to my otherwise impeccable game? It's borked. I can't do anything. This is actually very sad. I can't even click on this. Okay, well, this is not helpful at all. But anyway, what I was trying to demonstrate was you could click on different resources. Let me change the time here, actually, so we can kind of see what's going on. Because it's a little dark, you know. I don't have the permission to set time. Okay, you know what? I would have been better off just, like, pulling up my graphics tablet and drawing some sketches. So what you could do was you could click on these different stone resources out here, or the metal resources. I think it worked with bushes and trees as well, actually, come to think of it. And it would just take the position of the node and added it to a table. So essentially there would be a table of, it was probably just called stones, because why not? It was stones. And then the workers here, after they finished whatever stone they were working on, because they kind of stayed to their specific task at hand before moving on to the next, once they ran out of stone at the current position, they would look for a new position. If there wasn't a node within, I forget what the distance was that they would search in, if there wasn't a node close enough for them to find on their own, they would reference this table. And so the table would have, you know, all of the different ones that I clicked on. I don't remember if it just picked the first in the listing or if it actually like looped through the listing to find the distance from them to the nearest and then picked the nearest. I think it just took the top one of the list, honestly, because I was kind of lazy and that worked fine for what I needed. Well, so in the if I can find my game back here, in this, I still don't have a title for it, so I don't know what I'm calling this game. The concept is much the same. When you place one of these, it's put into a table with the position. And then when you place any other one, it's also put into the exact same table. But before it's put into the table, would it matter? I don't know if it would matter or not. At some point, whether before or after it's put into the table, it loops through the table to find, you know, the location of every other beacon. And there'll be some math involved. Yay, I love math. Pythagorean theorem, my favorite theorem of all time. It is the best theorem. There is no other theorem anywhere near as good as it. Humble opinion. We'll just, you know, query up the old Pythagoras and say, hey, what's the distance between these 2 points? I'm thinking I might cheat and just do 2D distances. The height I'm not too worried about, honestly. The map gen will be modified as such that we won't have mountains like this. It's going to be more rolling hills. That's the plan, at least. If I actually go back to my game from last year, I think I did a pretty decent job on this map gen. I don't remember what this map gen was, if this was super flat Or what specifically? I need fast. This is already fast mode? This is pathetic. This isn't fast. There should be little mountains out here someplace. If we go long enough. I mean, we have the little goblin town. Where's the mountains at? There's mountains. We'll find them eventually. The Pythagorean theorem, yes, it is very easy in 3D. I've done it in 3D. I don't remember in which of my mods I've done it, so I do know how to do it. But I don't really know if there's any extra value. Like if I'm going to say you have a distance of 20 nodes that the beacons will link to, or maybe we even change it from the 2 different tiers of beacons. One, the bigger beacon can link further, maybe. I don't know. I don't think the height difference, if you're putting your beacons all up at, I don't know, we'll say between 8 and 15 nodes. I mean, you could put them at any height you want. It doesn't matter. But when you're talking a distance of 20 nodes linearly on the ground, is the elevation difference of 4 or 5 nodes really going to matter too much? Plus, if I did do that, is that just going to really annoy the players who are like, every 20 nodes I need to put a tower, or whatever the distance is. I haven't decided yet. 20 might not be even close to being a far enough spacing. It might need to be like 50. I don't know. Whatever the space I choose. I don't want somebody to count off all those spaces, build their tower, put their beacon up, only to find out that thanks to the elevation difference, they're now too far away and their beacon doesn't work. Like, that would annoy me to no end. And I really don't want to do that to people that are playing my game. So I'll probably just ignore the elevation difference. I don't think it's going to matter. And if my map works correctly, which I don't know how I haven't found any... How have I not found any elevation changes here on this map? There should be some. This is quite sad, actually. Can I give myself fly? Will that help anything? I don't think it will. Oh, you know what? Actually, I do feel like I may be going a little bit faster. I don't know if I'm actually going faster, but it does feel like maybe a little bit faster. Where's my mountains? And how do I turn on the minimap? That's what it's really bugging me, is I don't have a minimap. Hey, there we go. All right, so that took way too long to find. But if we have something like this, which what I would really like to do, but I don't know if it's even possible, instead of having steps, I guess, of a full node, I would like to do half nodes, slabs. So that way you could just walk, and you would just walk up the hills instead of... Actually, I was going to say, I think in this game I changed your step height to 1.1, so you could just walk up the hills. Which I suppose I could do in the new game as well. There's really nothing that says I can't. But it would be nice to do slabs on the edges. That, I think, would be a nice touch, but I don't know if I can. I know there is a couple mods. There's one that's, I think, called Slopes that does it. And then I think there's... Actually, it might be Slopes as well. I think it just has a... like a configuration change you can do to either have slanted slopes or just stepped slopes. And I think that would be really nice. It does, however, decorations, if I'm doing trees, and my idea is to kind of do not trees that look quite like this because the sun doesn't exist anymore. So they're all going to be dead trees. There's not going to be any leaves. But I do think I want to do mesh trees. Can I make myself smaller? Yeah, okay. So like a tree like this, we've got the stem, or the stem of a tree. Wow, what am I, a preschooler? The trunk of the tree. And then we've got, some branches up top with no leaves on them because they're dead. And you'll pretty much just come up to the tree and you'll just beat the tree up essentially. Like the classics. Trees will each have, actually the exact same way that this works, tree will have X number of logs in its inventory. And I think I'm just going to have it punching it. I don't think we're going to do axes or tools. You'll just punch the trees. Once it runs out of wood, tree just disappears, maybe with some little effect, something. I don't know. Kind of thinking you'll just add the material to your inventory. And... yeah. Then you'll have the wood. And then... if I'm placing trees like this, or like anything, and it happens to fall on a slab, there'd be airspace below it. Not the biggest deal in the world, because if I'm using a mesh node, which would be the idea, although that gets into a funky spot with raycast again, because if that works against selection boxes, I think a selection box can only be a node and a half out of the node origin. So you can have a selection box that's a 3x3x3. And that wouldn't be tall enough for my tree. So I'd have to do the tree in multiple pieces. Maybe not an issue. Because I'm not dealing with leaves, I feel like I could probably do that okay. Because, let me go back to my other game here. This is such a good way to explain how this game's supposed to work. Okay, so if we do, what's a good way to demo this? Let's do, I can just use a fence piece. Sure, why not? And then we'll take, then we'll take a cobblestone wall piece, and then we'll take a full node. This will make a lot of sense in a second. Okay, so say we have a tree, right? Boom, tree trunk. The tree trunk, let me turn on fly move as well here. Tree trunk. Then the tree trunk comes, it does get a little thicker, excellent. Then, the branches start to branch out a little bit, and then the branches branch out more. I'm thinking if the tree's dead, you're not going to have like huge sprawling branches. We might still have branches coming out like so, which would be fine, because everything is, with the exception of these 4, it's all directly on top of this node. I must have no clip on. It's on top of this. So when I break this node, I can do a simple check of, hey, what's the next node above it? Oh, hey, it's part of a tree. Let's break that node. What's the next node? Part of a tree. Let's break it. Next node, break it. As long as it's part of a tree. And this way, there would be an issue of if somebody built something out of tree trunk. But I guess if I'm just giving you logs, and then, after you break the tree, you get logs that are, planks. Here we go. If you're just getting this to build with, and you can never actually place a tree trunk, that mitigates the problem, because you can't place the thing that would make everything above it break. Or I just make 2 identical nodes, visually identical nodes, and call them different things. So the map gen places one, but then after you dig it, you get the other. I could do that too. But I'm thinking because there will be, this whole branch kind of structure, those will just drop either on a chance they'll drop wood, or each tree trunk will maybe drop. If we want to be mind test game purists, I suppose, because we all know 1 tree trunk gives you 4 planks, I can make it so when you punch a tree trunk, that gives you 4 wood, and then the leaves up top give you some. Or actually, you know what? None of that even matters, because if I'm breaking the whole thing automatically after you break 1 node of it, and then you just get the bulk sum of how many pieces it is. So who cares what the individual drops are? You just kind of need to calculate the whole tree's worth. So each branch here, section of branches, could count as, 3/4 of a log, whatever, doesn't matter. You add it all up, you round up, round down, round however you want to round. I don't care how you round as long as it's round, so you can drop it as an integer. Boom, you got that much wood either in a pile on the ground, which could be fun. Then, you walk up to it and you get the nice little popping sound effects. The whoop, 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 whoop. I don't know if that's really the sound effect I would use, but yes, why not, I suppose. You have something like that. That would be sweet. So that would be the wood collection, and then you would be building your whatever things. I probably do need some kind of stone, I suppose. And then there's the whole inventory screen, which actually I have, not to jump back into another game again, but to jump back into another game again. I have some experience with making those because I made a fully custom one here, which I actually thought this worked out pretty. I need a little more content to flesh it all out. It could use some button outlines here and stuff. It never really did get finished because of the whole research thing. Why is this all Oh, must all be a text box area? Yeah, I guess it is. Interesting. You know, it could use a little more work, but it's fleshed out enough that I know what I'm doing. And I can do the buttons, and I can do the whatever's I need to do in an inventory screen. You know, maybe a help tab. You kind of want things to be intuitive enough where you don't need a help tab. I can do something very similar to this for your resources that are gathered. The whole mini-map thing, because you can't force show it, which is stupid. Unless things have changed. Maybe they have. Maybe that's an option now. I don't know. I'll have to look into it. If you can force show the mini-map, I would definitely do a mini-map again. 100%. Because I think that was a useful feature for this game. But if you can't force show it, I might just not worry about it. And then I would probably center this to the screen. If that's possible. I don't know if it is. Because then whether you're showing the mini-map or not is kind of irrelevant. How I had it here, obviously if I put it all the way over and you're showing the mini-map, well now they kind of collide with each other, which doesn't work. And I don't think I had the ability to move the mini-map at all. Maybe I did. I don't remember. Either way, if you're not showing it, then you have this dumb background behind it. So there's that to work with. But I think that should be simple enough. Yeah, so maybe I'll actually steal the models from the stone and from the metal. And I can actually reuse all those textures too, come to think of it. Although I did kind of want to do a more like a hand-painted look for this. I don't know if I'm going to have time for that though, but I thought that would be a lot of fun. Just kind of going with, there's actually a texture pack. I forget what it's called. It might just be called hand painted. You can use HUD set flakes to force minimap to be shown. See, I thought so, and I tried that. Maybe it's changed, because I really tried to force the minimap to be shown, and it just did not seem to work. And clearly, I don't have it working because there was no minimap when I logged in there last time. But maybe that was my fault. Maybe I was making a mistake on that. Let's see, some other things I've thought of. Collecting the crystals. So I don't want to make it... How do we explain this? There needs to be a gameplay progression aspect, right? Like, if I can just stay around to this one base and just harvest crystals from the creatures that steal the crystals from things, it doesn't require any exploration. Because I can just stay here, or on the outskirts of here. They will prefer the darkness rather than the light because they don't like light. That's why they're actually stealing the crystals. They're not stealing the crystals because they want the light for anything. They're stealing the crystals because they don't like light. Also, they do kind of have this magical energy property to them. So maybe they're harnessing that to, I don't know, build a super weapon underground or something. I don't have the whole backstory figured out yet. But so they're trying to steal these crystals. I think my idea here is MapGen will place, if I can do this, and I'm not 100% sure. I think I can. I just have to do it as an ore. It's all going to be dirt because with no sun, there's really no grass. You know, because the grass kind of needs the sun to photosynthesize to live and everything. So there'll be like some algae and moss kind of stuff. Maybe some bioluminescent plants. That would be cool. But the map gen, so say in the snow here, if I just pick ice, right? Just to kind of show my idea. So if map gen is placing in the snow an ore, that is this ice node. But in reality, it's the exact same texture, right? I'm just doing this as a visual representation so we can see the difference. Then these specific nodes will spawn in the creatures, whatever they are. I don't know what they are. I have to decide that yet. ChatGPT, save me. Give me a name for this mythical creature that wants to steal the sunstones. But whenever one of them spawns in, right? So I'm however close I need to be, and the ABM is called, I'll probably use ABMs on these, right? And the creature spawns in. Well, I don't want that creature to ever spawn there again, because otherwise I'd just be able to wander from over here back out to here, back, just going back and forth, and just keep harvesting the monsters from the same spots. So after the monster is spawned, this will be turned back into the original surrounding node around it. So that way they won't spawn from here anymore. So I will have to progressively travel further and further. Now, of course, progressively traveling further and further means more time spent. Ain't nobody got time for that. Here comes the next idea. Teleportation. How do I visualize this with my limited palette of mind test game? You know what? We're going to use fences, because why not? So we'll have these... I will make these portal things. And actually, believe it or not, I was working on a similar thing previously before I knew anything. This is like, I wonder if I have it on Git someplace. It's old. It's an old project I was working on. We'll have these portal things. I'm kind of thinking something like this looking, maybe. Yeah, that's probably as good of a visualization as I can get. So it'll be a platform. Of course, custom mesh nodes. Everything's custom mesh nodes. If you followed me for any of these game jams, you know I always do a lot of custom meshes because that's what I'm good at. It'll be octagonal? Decagonal? Decagonal? Would that be 12-sided? Maybe decagonal. I don't know. I don't know how high a resolution I want to be going on my meshes. And then they'll have these 4 kind of corner posts. Again, I'd like to do some sort of particle effect in it. And this will also be crafted. I don't know what my crafting system is yet. I'm thinking I'm going to use Simple Crafting Lib, which I use in the Epic server, just because it's not a shaped craft grid. It's pretty much just quantities. You have enough pieces, you can make your thing. It makes it really easy. And I can use custom workbenches, which, of course, custom meshes for a custom workbench, I'm all in. So we'll have this, and it'll use energy crystals to power it. This will need to be linked to these towers because they also like wirelessly transmit electricity. This is kind of some Nikola Tesla type stuff. Wireless energy, harnessing energy from the atmosphere, all this kind of good stuff. So this will need to be linked to multiple towers. Maybe one tower, I don't know. I haven't quite decided. Maybe the more towers that are linked, the further distance it can take you. I don't know. That's all stuff to kind of play with. So then, because I'm traveling further and further to collect crystals, I need a way to easily jump back and forth. Because if I'm trying to get back to my main base, where I have my crafting station and everything, which I suppose I could make it so you can craft more crafting stations in the crafting station. Crafting stationception. That might be a useful thing to have, actually. So then you could build a crafting station further out. I don't know. I don't know if that would be overly helpful or not. Yeah. But we'll have something of that nature, so you can get from place to place quickly. And then I do think that I would like to probably also have just in dark areas. So there'll be if I have time, I want to have multiple different monsters, creatures. You'll have some that are, from the map gen here. These are like the dangerous ones, but they're the good reward ones where you get crystals from them. And then there'll just be other less dangerous monsters that potentially you'll get crystals from, but not every single one. These guys, you kill it, you get a crystal, but it's going to be a battle. Then there'll be other ones that just in the darkness. So like over here, we're in the darkness, it'll spawn. And maybe there'll be multiple variants. There'll be like good ones. I don't know what would make them good, but they're attracted to the light and they don't try to damage things. They come over and they're just kind of like fairies almost, I guess, or gnomes or something. Like they're excited because life is coming back to Earth and they wanna come see what's going on. And maybe they'd have some kind of a bonus, I don't know, if you came around, you could get healed by them or something. I don't know, something to make them worth interacting with. I don't know specifically what. Maybe they would recharge your torches. I don't know. I don't know what the whole system behind the torches is right now. I'm thinking in a, like this torch here, being too far away from a tower, maybe it has a 10-minute lifespan, and then it changes to the dead torch, so something like, boom, good torch, dead torch. I can harvest the dead torch, get the crystal back, recharge the crystal. Oh yeah, so there'll be some sort of a recharge crystal thing too, which will work. It'll have to be linked to, so we have two different versions of these beacon lights. You got like the long range, sure. Well, let's just call it long range and short range, because that's essentially what it is. This, longer range, there's really no visual difference here. And this is your shorter range. So the crystal recharger will have to be linked to, I don't know, I think just for progression's sake, it might make sense to require it to be linked to two long-range towers. Because otherwise you could essentially build this pretty much right from the get-go, depending on what your material requirements are. And then you could just be recharging all of your crystals. And you wouldn't really have to travel out and fight monsters to get more crystals and do things, because you can just recharge all your dead ones right here. So I think I want it so you have to have two long range, and you could put them right next to each other if you wanted. It wouldn't matter. Put them wherever. It wouldn't make sense to do that because of, material costs incurred and everything. But if you wanted, you could. There'd be nothing stopping you from doing it. And then you'd have, another long range over here, which you could put it on top of anything. You could be putting on top of a stack of wood. I don't know what I'm all going to do for as far as that goes. So we have another long range, and then we could have our recharge station thing in the middle here, wherever. It really wouldn't matter. I don't know what it would look like. Maybe something. This is going to be a terrible representation because you can't see that. It's supposed to be like an arched thing. So you kind of have a circle at the bottom with like an arched dome on top. I don't know. And then the crystal would kind of sit in the middle, levitating, and I could do a little animation on it. So it's rotating around, slowly recharging, some particle effects. It make it look really fancy. And then, I don't know, you would have, I guess, you'd basically have, dead crystal stack up here, charged crystal stack here, progress bar down here, slowly charging. And then as it charges, it takes your dead one, throws it into the full one, and then you just grab out your charged crystals as needed. And then you can, make your new torches or whatever you're using your crystals for. Maybe your teleporters. I don't know if the teleporters would use up the crystals. I'm thinking probably not, because that just adds an extra level of meh that I don't want to deal with. I do think, however, I could do something, and this actually might not be a bad idea, where you could use the teleporter, and if it's connected to your beacons, great. It doesn't cost you anything. But if it's not connected to a beacon, maybe because you traveled a long ways out and you placed one, I don't know why you'd be traveling if you weren't going to build a beacon, but whatever. You placed one. You just wanted to explore. I don't know. And you didn't want to walk back, but you had enough resources to waste to build a teleporter. Whatever. You can do what you want. It's an open-ended game. Then you could click on the teleporter, because you'd have to click on it anyways to pick where you want it to go. And if it wasn't linked, there could be like a slot where you could put a crystal into it. And then you could teleport, and it would change the crystal from a charged crystal to a dead crystal, but it would leave the crystal in the teleporter. So if you wanted to get back that dead crystal so you could recharge it, you would have to walk back to that teleport location to get it. I think just for ease of things on my end, only the transmitting teleport base would be required to be powered, because otherwise I have to check every single base to see if it has power to be able to decide whether or not you should be able to go there, which it really isn't the biggest deal. I mean, I would, again, just have a table with all the locations of these. Although when I build the list, I would have to query every single one to see whether or not it has power. So that might be a little more than I really want to deal with. And then the teleporting part, this is a fun thing. I think this will work. My idea is it'll just shoot you up into the sky, I don't know, 20 nodes, 30 nodes. I'm up 50 right now. So what's 20? 20's here? Not maybe 30. It'll like shoot you 30 nodes into the sky, and then it'll teleport you to wherever you're teleporting to, and then you'll free fall down. Oof. And oh no! I never set a home. Oh, great. That was a mistake. Not to worry though. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say that because it is to worry. I have no idea where it was. The teleport pad will negate all fall damage, so you won't die when you land on it. However, let me test this. When I'm in free fall, I can still move, right? I think so. Well, that could be a problem. Yeah, I'm falling and I'm also traveling in a direction. That wouldn't be good, because then you could walk off of the teleport pad. I really don't want that. But I do feel like falling in, like if you're 30 nodes up, 30 might not be enough. If I'm up however many ever nodes, and I'm falling in and I kind of get to see the ground come in below me, that would be cool. Somebody knows my coordinates? Okay, thanks. Let's see. 105. I think I have to do commas and 646. Oh, I did. Whoops, my bad. I didn't do a negative 646. I was like, that doesn't seem right. Hey, buddy, you saved the day. Thanks a lot. Let me set my home right away. Just so if I die again, we don't have that issue. And with that, I will die again. So if we were like 20 nodes up, what are we up? We're up 40, maybe 50. Yeah, 50's probably good. Shooting you up 50 nodes into the air, and then you fall down. No, I could grant invincibility. I don't know specifically how you do that, but I did it in my, I didn't even know what the game was called. Trader, I think is what it's called. It's the Among Us clone, ripoff, knockoff, wannabe. I gave invincibility to a player after, I forget what event happens, but you were given invincibility for like 10 seconds after something. Oh, I think it was if you died of natural reasons on the map, like if you suffocated or burnt up in lava, then you had 10 seconds of invincibility, so you could get out of whatever situation killed you. So you didn't just keep dying over and over and over in it, because I was like, oh, it kind of makes it no fun. I think that's what it was. So I could do something like that, because then 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3. Yeah, so it takes like 4 seconds to fall from that height. So if you had invincibility for, say, 10 seconds, you could walk to wherever you could manage to walk to in the time you're falling, and then you wouldn't take any damage when you hit the ground. So that might be the better way of doing it. I could also make it so the teleport pad just negates your damage. I believe you can do. Pretty sure that's an option. Yeah, I go back and watch my second ago to read what the menu is. Thank you very much. It saved my butt. So there's that idea for the whole teleport thing. Yeah, I think the whole finding the towers aspect should be pretty simple. The whole dropping light bit here, I can just steal that function right out of Trader, because I have a function that already does that. So that makes that really easy. I had these, what are those called? The high pressure sodium lamps, I believe is what they're called. Normally they're in like parking lots and on buildings, shining on. A lot of it's actually changing to LED these days, but high pressure sodium was kind of the thing that everybody used. And to kind of mimic the light, because it was meant to be placed, on top of a light pole or on the side of a building, but you didn't need the light in the air. You wanted the light on the ground below it. It would do exactly what I'm doing here. It would count X number of, actually didn't even do that. It just dropped straight till it hit the first non-air node and then placed the light there. I did cap out at like 50 nodes or something, just so if somebody had a base in the sky, because that was kind of the whole idea, was you built your own little maps. and you put it to the edge of your map, it wouldn't just keep dropping for infinity. I mean, it wouldn't, but I did cap it out, so it would stop at some point and then place a light too. So if you had it too high, it would still place a light, but I figured nobody's placing it this high, but as a fail-safe, just so we're not looping through a bunch of air nodes, going down deeper and deeper, just wasting much CPU cycles. Yeah, so I have that function I can already steal. Raycast I've never worked with, so I have no idea how to do that. That's really the only thing I have to learn how to do is the Raycast bit. I think the rest of it should be pretty simple. I don't know, we'll see. Atlas Games, hey. Still brainstorming for your own ideas? Yeah, I'm actually really pleased with how quickly I came up with this. I had a few other ideas. Before the game jam was even announced, I kind of want to do an RPG. And I was hoping that I could, take my RPG idea and kind of, what's the shoehorn? Is that the term? Shoehorn the line of sight idea into it, so I kind of do this project that I've been wanting to kind of start on for a while now and kind of make it work with the game jam, but I couldn't figure out a good way to do it, so I'm not doing that. And then I had another idea, which I thought this was a fun idea, honestly, but I think this is going to be better because this lets the player do more of the creating versus something that I would have to do all of the creating on. So I had this crazy, and maybe this actually is crazy. I don't know. You tell me. Why am I? Oh, because I'm looking at items, not nodes. Maybe this is a crazy idea. I don't know. I thought it could be a lot of fun though, as a puzzle game. But that requires building maps and making puzzles, and then a lot of play testing to make sure that the puzzles are actually solvable. Yada yada yada. Essentially, it sounds like a lot of time, right? And obviously, we only have, 3 weeks? I was like, I don't have a lot of time. So, I don't know if this is a thing anywhere else in the world, but around where I live, this is a thing. In, a couple hospitals. I think I've seen it in a mall as well. So, you have... I need to turn off fast mode. So, you have elevators, right? And the elevators take you to different floors, obviously. And then on the floors, I'm doing green again. They'll do these paint lines. Now, of course, you're a little limited here because everything has to be a full node wide. But they'll do these paint lines. So you get off the elevator, or actually, I'm trying to think in the hospital where they even say which line is what. It's probably just on a sign on the wall someplace. And essentially it says, hey, if you're looking to go to, why can't I think of what they call it? The maternity ward. Follow the purple line. So, you follow the purple line and it takes you, obviously, to the maternity ward because that's the whole point of this line system so that you can find places, right? So we have the purple line going to the maternity ward. Hey, if you're looking for the cafeteria, come on, let's be real. If you're in the hospital, you're definitely there because you want the good hospital food. Follow the green line. And then, I don't know, for billing, because I'm definitely walking through the hospital to go pay my hospital bill. If you're looking for billing, follow the blue line. And unfortunately, I don't have any snow, and that is just going to bug me to have an open space there, so I'm going to fill that. All right, there. So my original idea was do something like this, make it a puzzle, so you have your starting point, and then you have multiple ending points, and then you have robots that follow a specific colored line. And it would be a confined space, and the robots could look, to incorporate the line of sight, they would have a 3-node line of sight. So you would be, okay, well, right here, I don't have 3 nodes wide that I can play with. So to combat that, what I'm going to do, because the robots can see 3 nodes away, is I'm going to mix the colors. So we'll start with the purple, and then we'll put a blue, and then we'll put a green, because starting from here, there is a ladybug, to be specific, flying around my head. That's cool. Was that a ladybug? No, that's actually just a normal fly. Cool. Where was I saying? Oh, yeah. So the robot will start here, and, it looks and says, oh, there's a green. I can go to green. Goes to green, and then this next green is less than 3 away, so then it can go here, and then it has its solid line of green. And that was kind of the idea. The robots would look for their color, and then I started thinking about, I was like, well, how does the robot know which way is forward? How do I know that the robot from this screen doesn't go to this screen and then decide, oh, hey, I'm going to come back to this screen? I mean, sure, you would have, it's going to favor the closer colors. That makes sense. Okay, so it comes here. Now this is the closest color, so it'll go here. Well, now how does it decide to go here instead of here? So then you got to store a table of what's the previous node it was at or what's its heading, so it keeps going in the same heading. And I don't know. And I tried doing something similar. I don't remember what it was for. Oh, it was for my game from last year, Koboldkrieg. I wanted to make that you had to put roads down, or like dirt paths that the villagers would walk on the dirt paths. I could not make it work. They would get stuck every single time. They'd walk forwards and then they'd get turned around. Turns, they would only ever take a turn in one direction. They would never go the other direction. It was a mess. I probably could have figured it out with more time, but I didn't have time. And so I never revisited it. So I can't just steal the API from that to use for this. But yeah, that was kind of my idea. But then you get the whole thing of, well, now you have to build all these levels. You have to have some way of, once the level's finished, to progress the player to the next level. So you're loading in map chunks, and I've never dealt with that. And I'm like, nah, you know what? Anything that requires me to create the content, not going to be so hot. Let me figure out something where the player is creating the content, and I'm kind of just making the structure and the rules that they have to play by. And so then I landed on this idea, which I'm kind of digging. I think it's going to be fun. Yeah, it should be good stuff if all goes to plan. Mark nodes once it's gone on to them. That actually, if they only have to go on the node once, you could actually just swap the node out. Again, make it visually the same, but internally either just a different name or take it out of a group or whatever it's using to figure out which nodes to go to. That would work, except for one issue. If you have multiple, in the case of last year's game, if multiple units need to follow the same paths, you can't swap out the path nodes because now nobody else is ever going to follow on the path because the path doesn't exist anymore. So you have to store everything in the entity's memory, which isn't the biggest deal, but then every single time it finds a node, it has to query a table to see, hey, have I already visited this node? And then if it's actually going to like straight on pathfinding, potentially it could need to go back to a node it already visited if it went to a wrong node, which in the case of this idea wouldn't be an issue because that would just mean you did a bad job laying out your lines and you need to wipe the slate clean, which also I would have to have figured out how to reset a level so that way you could paint new lines. Yeah, anyways, that's why I just, I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'll make a Gestion game? What's a Gestion game? Am I misreading that? I have the same question. I don't know if I'm reading something wrong. Okay, well, maybe we'll get an explanation as to what this game is. I'm trying to think, what else do I need to brainstorm for my idea? I do still need a title, which, like last year, that's going to be the worst thing, is because everything has to be named based on the game title. And I have no idea what to call this game. So yeah. But I can start writing APIs, because all I have to do is change management. I guess if you were on mobile. Oh, it's French. Okay. Like, what? I can start writing the APIs without knowing the game title, because all I have to do is change, from my temporary game name to the final game name for that. So that's simple to do. Backgrounds for form specs, I can work on those. Any of the graphical end of things, that can all be done without knowing a game name. I'll have to rename files, but knowing the way that I develop, I'll be renaming the files anyways, because I'll start with, oh man, I can't tell how many times I renamed the form spec elements on last year's game. I was like, we'll just call this background. I was like, well, I can't just call that background because I have other things that need to be background. So it has to be form spec background. But then it was like, well, there's actually 3 different backgrounds depending on which screen you're at. So I can't really just call it background. It needs to be background _1, background _2, background _3. And I was like, this isn't really very descriptive. Let me change it. So it was background main, background help. I forget what the other thing was. Research. I think there was 4 tabs. Anyways, and that wasn't actually the background. It was a whole thing. Files got renamed so many times that that's not even a big deal. And actually, it's even less of a big deal now because Linux Mint finally ships with a bulk file renamer, which I could have downloaded one in the past, but it comes part of Nemo, I think, is the file explorer that it ships with. It's just built right in. So you can just say, yeah, the first 5 letters I want eliminated, and we're going to replace it with this. Oh, it's such a beautiful thing. Wait. Wait, what? A management game? Like a digestion game? What? Not exactly a business simulator, but it'll look a bit like it. You'll need to manage a human's body. Wait, what? What? Managing a human's body? This is going to be crazy. I can't wait to see this. Crazy in a good way, mind you. I'm not saying you're like insane. I'm saying I'm excited to see a human body simulator management thing within Luanti. I did, for a fleeting second, have an idea of, what's that game? Operation. I was like, what if? But then I was like, nah, there's no way to do that. I don't know how raycast works at all. And then to try to raycast things to things, and I don't even know how to do raycast, I'm going to keep it super basic. And I feel like this is super basic. I have 1 point and 2 points. I'm not trying to figure out intersections on nodes to find out, like, well, where on the node are we pointing? Because you can use raycast for that to be like, the big ones that come to mind are the painting mods, where you can like paint on a canvas. That's all raycast to figure out where you're pointing at that node to put the pixel of color. This should be a lot easier. I'm just taking a vector position of this light and a vector position of this light, and I'm shooting a ray from dead smack in the middle of this to dead smack in the middle of this, and I'm getting a list of anything it collides with, unless it's air, or, well, I think if it's air-like, or there's something else that's an option. You can have it report water or ignore water, which the water really won't be an aspect of my game, so that doesn't matter. And there was something else. I forget if it was like a pointable node property or something. There was one other thing you could have a check for. And I'm like, well, the only thing I'm going to have is invisible air nodes like these. And I'm hoping I can set those up so that the ray will pass through it and not report it. Although even if it does report it, if it's giving me a table, I could always iterate through the whole table and see if there's anything that's not air or my air-like nodes that the ray is allowed to pass through, and kind of just ignore them that way. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Again, I've never used raycast, so I don't really know how they work, but I think it should work. It better work. I mean, that's kind of like, I'm going to guess like 75% of the games are going to be using raycast for something with the theme of line of sight. I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of raycasting going on. Yeah. Oh, what else? What else do I need to think of for this game? There'll definitely be more things. I'll be streaming. I was thinking every night. I don't know if I can do every night. That might be a bit of a push. It might have to be like an every other night for maybe 2 hours or so. I don't know. We have to see how it works with the kids' bedtime. And work. I shouldn't have to work late any of those nights, but obviously there are, family events and stuff. So I don't know. We'll see. Oh, you know what? When they announced this, the game theme, line of sight, there were a couple things that immediately came to my mind. Laser, as Atlas Games mentioned. Yep, that is perfectly in line with it. Wuzzy's, what was it called? Was it just called Eyeballs? I don't think that's what it was called, but he had his eyeball game. I think that was last year's, where you had to be, and you had the good eyeballs, I guess, had to see you or you would go crazy and die. But if the bad eyeball saw you, you'd also go crazy and die. That was very much so a line of sight. Like, oh, this would have been a perfect match. But you already built it, so you had to do something new, I guess. Was it called Eyeballs? Yeah, it was fun. I was no good at it, but it was fun. It was very well made too. Those are kind of really the only two that stuck out to me as, oh yeah, this would be a line of sight type game. Yeah, I'm thinking, I don't know, how scary do I want to make this? Like, I could go pretty scary, because it's going to be a very dark, assuming I can do this, which, can I? I don't know. Can I keep celestial body rotation and change the light? I know there is like some player set lighting API call things, so you can change the world lighting on a per player basis. I've never played with that, but I'm assuming that that should work for me. Because like this is too much light. This isn't scary. This isn't foreboding or doomy or gloomy. And then if it's, I don't want to make it like super dark where you have to struggle to see everything, because that, I hate that. Like in movies, in games, they just make stuff so dark. And maybe I have bad eyes. Maybe my monitors aren't bright enough, or the color management's not right. You know, maybe I need an HDR monitor on my, you know, do I have HDR? I don't think I have HDR on my computer. My TV has HDR. But you're watching this stuff, and it's like, why is it so dark? I can't see anything. You know, it's like you're trying to watch, I think Lord of the Rings has it a lot. Bunch of the Star Wars films have it a ton. It's like I have to be like in a pitch black room watching this movie to be able to see it, because it's so dark. If there's any light in the room, I can't see what's going on. It's like, this is junk. Who did the color grading and would that fall under color grading? I don't know if that really fall in color grading. But like, who watches and is like, oh yeah, this is good. It's so dark you can't see it. This is good. But it is good in my case, because if it's dark, not too dark, but dark, you can't see all the details. And you can get by with a lot of junk if it's dark, because you can't tell that it's junk. You know, you can have textures that they're just smears, but in the dark, you don't know. Horror game, you know, you always game and work in a pitch black room. I mean, I guess. I don't. I mean, when I stream, obviously, I got lights everywhere. Can you see me pointing? I got to look at what I'm pointing at. So there's ceiling light behind me, LED work light on the wall. This way and this way, two studio LED lights that I actually had to set back up for this because I haven't been streaming in a while, and we had those pulled off for using them for business photography. We got like a what do they call it? Infinity background. It's just one of those curved backgrounds with a white material, so you don't get a hard edge where the floor turns to the wall. It's curved, so you don't see it. I mean, it's nice. But we had all the lights set up and the camera set up down there, so I was like, oh, I gotta follow this because I'm gonna need it for streaming. That's fine. It won't matter. We'll just have to be pulling it back and forth for a while, or just stop doing new products for the business, and then it won't matter. But yeah, there is that. So I don't know. We'll see. I want to definitely do a bunch of streaming for the development. Of course, all because I can monetize it after the fact. So if you don't want to watch the ads, just watch during the live stream. Because if you watch it like a day late, it'll have whatever ads that YouTube throws on, however often it throws them on. I don't know. I don't pay attention too much to that. I think it does one at the start, one at the beginning, one in the middle is normally what I set it to, I think, unless it's like multiple hours long. Then I think at like every hour I put one in, because I normally manage that manually, because YouTube wants to put an ad in like every 10 minutes, 15 minutes or something. I'm like, bro, Nobody wants to see an ad that often. They're just going to stop watching. Pros of not using a camera on stream? Oh, no, those lights are all just for the live stream. Can I do this? Give me 1 second. I think I can make this happen. So if I don't have all these lights, so that's, wow, actually that's quite a difference. This is just the 2 studio, like the professional lights on now. So I turned off the shop light on the wall, which does a lot for me at my face, I guess. And then the ceiling light actually does a ton for the green screen. You know, I forgot a light. There's a light on the floor. Yeah, normally there's a shop light on the floor in front of the green screen that throws light up at that, which doesn't really put any light onto me, but it helps a lot with the green screen so that you don't see it. But yeah, let me turn that one back off and the studio lights off. Yes, just to demonstrate the importance of good lighting. If I can find the light button on this. There we go. The light button, the power button. One more light to go. Where's the switch? It's over here somewhere. There we go. So yeah, this is me with no extra lights, and you can see my teeth, but that's kind of it. It's huge. It's huge. And now you can change, you can change some of this on the camera settings. Like I shoot with an IO speed of 250. I could bump the IO up a lot. So I bumped it up to 2000. I can go higher. I can go up to 1600, which actually washes me out quite a bit. But that introduces a lot of grain. I don't know if you really notice too much. But yeah, I don't like all that grain. I like to keep my ISO low on the camera. And then I'm shooting at, I think, just 30 frames a second. Yeah, 30 frames a second. So yeah, and if I just have the shop light on, oh yeah, you can see it. You can see it right behind me. You can see the light kind of traveling up on the green screen there. How you have like a white band that moves up. That's because these aren't professional grade lights. That's I guess the electricity, because electricity, AC power is it's a sine wave, right? Alternating current, sine wave, going back and forth. And LEDs are, how do we explain this in layman's terms? LEDs require DC voltage. Yeah, they use DC. So there's like a built-in, would that be an inverter? I think that's an inverter. Transformer? I don't know. It's one of the two, changing from the AC to DC. And because it's a shop light and it's not, your human eye doesn't pick it up, but the camera does. So they cheap out, because why not? You don't need that. The professional lights, if I turn these both back on, should have no banding in them because they are designed to use in video and photography. So on this, do we see any banding? I don't think I see any banding going on there. And then the normal lights, I'd have to turn off the other lights. I don't think there's banding from just the ceiling lights, which is kind of surprising, honestly. Whoops, I just turned the light green because I hit the wrong button. Yeah, the lights do color too, because, I mean, why not? Sometimes you want to have extra color when you're shooting. I don't think we've ever used the color feature at all, other than accidentally hitting it. So then this is just the ceiling light, which there is no banding, but now my face is, you can't see it. So, yeah. Yeah, it also gets really warm in here than when I'm streaming because of all the lights. Or if I'm doing like a Let's Play and I got the camera going, very warm. There we go. And then I'll turn this one on, although this one evidently isn't actually needed because nothing's going on there that makes any difference. So yeah, lots of lights, lots and lots of lights. But that's what you gotta do with YouTube and with making videos, man. It's gotta be good stuff or nobody's gonna watch it. I don't know if that's actually true. A lot of people film on potatoes and they still get views somehow. So and now YouTube's complaining that it's not getting enough data. All right. Well, yeah. So there was the tour of the lights. Not really much of a tour because you didn't see any of the lights. But yeah. Oh, also, no one's going to notice, but I put the camera up on a new tripod head. So I used to have, it was kind of ghetto. So I took a normal tripod and I chopped the head of it off, and I had it mounted up on a TV wall mount, actually. It was pretty sketch, but it worked. The plate wasn't the right plate for the tripod head, so it didn't lock in properly, so the camera was always a little jiggly. I just picked up from there's a little bit of jiggle. It ain't bad, though. I just picked up a small rig camera head from a resale shop for like $7, and it's like a $50, $60 camera head. It's got so many adjustments. The camera's actually level now. It never used to be level. It was always off probably 3 or 4 degrees. You probably didn't notice it. If you go back and watch them, you might notice it. But yeah, you didn't really notice it. But I noticed it standing. Oh, sometimes I stand, but right now I'm sitting here looking at the camera. I would always see it was a little crooked. But the tripod head I was using didn't have an adjustment for that. The small rig has adjustments for everything. It's got probably 7 degrees on a ball tilt on the bottom. And then you have tilts forwards and backwards, left and right, XYZ, all 3 axes. And then the bottom you got like 7-degree tilt. It is a really nice camera tripod mount. I would almost use it for real stuff, but we have a good enough tripod for real stuff. And I also don't have a tripod to screw it onto. So, but yeah, it's a nice little rig. That had absolutely zero to do with anything related to the game or the game jam as a whole. But yeah, I am really looking forward to seeing what everybody else comes up with. There's always so many great submissions. And let's be real now, there's also some pretty not so great submissions. We've had some pretty awful submissions, I'd go so far to say, in the previous game jams. But you gotta start somewhere. If it's your first time doing something, especially if you've never, well, I guess if it's your first time, you've never done it, so that's redundant to even say. Yeah, I understand why somebody would try to make a game in 3 weeks and come out with a turd. There is definitely a learning curve involved. When you're under the gun, under pressure, you don't necessarily have all the time to make everything as well as it could be made. But yeah, excited to see what everybody comes up with. As in years previous, I will have reviews on all of the games, or pretty much all the games. I think last year I missed a couple, but that's because they missed the deadline. And then I don't think I ever ended up doing reviews for those, or at least not in my initial review window. I don't know. I should take a quick peek. I don't think it says anything about prizes or anything yet. We have 19 days, 2 hours, 14 minutes, and 41 seconds left. And this goes through everything CST. So Friday, November 28th. Oh, that's the day after Thanksgiving, isn't it? Development ends. Oh, I feel bad for everybody in America, myself included. The last 2 days of the game jam are Thanksgiving and Black Friday. Yikes. Okay, well, scratch those 2 days off the game jam's calendar. So then the rating goes for, it looks like a week, November 29th to December 6th. And then sometime after December 7th, the results are tallied and announced. Currently there is no mention of anything as far as any sort of prizes or anything. I'm assuming there's probably some kind of prizes. I think Green Zenith normally kind of heads all this up. I do have, if he's doing prizes again, I can throw some money into the prize pool. I got some PayPal funds floating around from some freelance work. I don't know why that was so hard to say. That I would be more than happy to throw into the prize pool. I know. I should have worn it. I got a shirt. I got to go grab this shirt. I've never worn it, actually. Oh, well, the green screen kind of ruins it. Let me just turn that off for a quick second. How do I even do that? Can I even turn that off for a quick second? Okay, I don't know what I just did. I just broke everything. Did I? Wait, no, I guess not. There we go. Ta-da! So last year I did not place. I mean, I guess technically I placed because everybody places at something, right? But I wasn't one of the winners. But I guess everybody ahead of me, or enough people ahead of me, refused their prizes or could not accept their prizes. Like, some of it's PayPal, and if you don't have a PayPal account, obviously you kind of can't take the PayPal money. And it's yeah, so it just kept going down the line. Yeah, they couldn't take it. You want the prize? You want the prize? It came to me. Hey, you want a free shirt? It's for a prize. I think I was like 13th place last year or something. I feel like 2 years ago I was like 7th or 6th, maybe it was. And then I think last year's I went down quite a bit. So this year's my redemption year. Get in the top 3. And then I can just never do another game jam because I will I'll have made a name for myself, and I won't want to tarnish my good reputation with a terrible game. How do you rate my game last year? Thinking back, it's a pretty bad game. I don't know what your game was. Re-entry? What was re-entry? Re-entry. I don't remember what that game was. I know I played it, but I can't offhand remember which one that was. Did get it in pink, yes. And again, I have never worn it. Kind of feel bad for not ever wearing it. This would have been a perfect opportunity to wear it. Like, anytime I'm doing a stream or even a video with my face in it for the channel, it would make sense to be wearing that shirt. But I haven't really been doing a lot of live streams this year because I haven't had the time. But yeah, it is a cool shirt. Yeah, I don't know if there's prizes this year or not. There always has been in the past, so I'm assuming, but I've seen nothing official come through yet. I know obviously all that stuff does take some time to figure out and whatnot. There's back ends and prize monies that you have to, or prizes, whether they're monetary prizes or otherwise. I feel like there was free hosting for a year from somebody that does Mind Test hosting, Luanti hosting now, which of course I didn't need because I already had hosting. So that was the first option. It's like, hey, you want a free month of hosting from, I forget who it was. It's like, I kind of already self-host my servers. So thanks for the offer, but pass it along to the next guy because I don't need it. Yeah. So that's all that. I don't know if there's anything else to say. What kind of monsters do I have? I don't know. So I guess full disclosure, Dinotopia. I don't know if I'm aging myself even saying that word, but Dinotopia. That's kind of where some of the concepts for this game comes from. It was a book. It was a TV. I think it was actually 2 different TV series, and I think there was even a movie. And it all kind of gets very mixed and confused because I think they were all called Dinotopia. And when you try to go back and rewatch or see it again, it's like you try to watch episode 1, but then you watch. There was I think it was a TV movie actually. And you watch that, and then you watch episode 1, or you watch episode 1 and through, and then you watch the TV movie, whatever. It's like, this doesn't follow through chronologically anymore. What happened? But anyways, in that game, there's dinosaurs. There's good dinosaurs and bad dinosaurs. And there's these things called sunstones. And the sunstones keep the dinosaurs away. And I think they also made light. And then they have big ones, like this in each city. or whatever you want to call it, city type thing, colony, whatever. And that keeps the dinosaurs at bay. But then there's smaller ones that people wear on like necklaces and amulets and stuff. And I don't know if those were just meant as like good luck charms or if they also did something to keep the dinosaurs away. I'm not 100% sure. But then the sunstones, I think they were called sunstones, pretty sure. They also had this like magical energy property, and they could power things with the sunstones. And the sunstones were charged from being in line with each other. And then there was like these corrupted sunstones that were green instead of white. And those the dinosaurs weren't scared of, but they still had the electrical energy that the normal sunstones did. But you could like corrupt the good sunstones with the bad sunstones. So these bad guys were doing that, and I guess the bad sunstones let you like control the dinosaurs. So instead of scaring them away, they kind of made them like your slaves, and they were amassing this bad dinosaur army to fight the good dinosaur army. I don't remember enough of it, and like I said, it's impossible to find it anymore. So I don't actually remember all the details, but that's somewhere where some of the concept comes from. So my idea is the monsters are going to be some kind of like a prehistoric dinosaur type spooky thing. And then I don't know what the good creatures will be. They could also just be other dinosaurs, I suppose. It really doesn't matter. It would make sense to try to reuse mobs that I've already created, but I don't know if I really have anything that fits this too well. So I don't know. We'll see. We got a couple people heading out. Thanks for watching. I think we're probably going to wrap things up here pretty soon anyways, because I don't know what else there is to say about this. What have we been doing? An hour and a half. That's probably good. So, yeah, if y'all are interested in watching development, I will be doing some streams of that. As soon as I have I probably have to have a title first. I will be putting it online. I will have that linked. As soon as I have it uploaded, I'll link it someplace in the video description, probably of this stream, and then of all the future streams, I will have it there as well. So if you want to kind of play along, you can. Obviously, if you're doing your own game for the Game Jam, maybe wait till after the Game Jam to go back and watch, because like I said last year, I'm doing all these streams so that way everybody else that is competing is wasting their time watching my streams instead of doing their own work on their own game, giving me that edge. It clearly didn't work because I didn't do so hot last year. My game also was a bit bugged because somehow I did something very stupid and didn't catch the bug. I think I was reusing the old world, and then on a new world, the bugs all became evident, and I was like, oh. And I just never encountered them because I was reusing the same world over and over. So, good thing to note, good thing to learn from that is to start new worlds frequently. So see if you've introduced any bugs that only become apparent in a new world, because everybody that's playing the game for the first time is going to be in a new world, and they're going to find all those bugs, and it's going to be ruthless. We're going to lose. All right, I think that's going to be it. So thanks for watching. Tomorrow night, maybe Tuesday night, maybe we'll see. I'll have them scheduled on YouTube a day or so in advance, and it'll probably be it's about 2 hours later than now is when I'm kind of planning on starting these, maybe an hour and a half later. It'll probably be about 2 hour long streams, and we'll kind of see. I guess after the first one, we'll see how that works as far as scheduling and everything, and I might have to tweak things, but I'll try to keep it relatively consistent at which time they're being broadcast, just because it actually makes it easier for me and my family to work around with the streams and everything. So yeah, we'll see how it all plans out. But again, I am very excited to see what everybody else produces for this Game Jam. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. And now for the always fun part of figuring out how we end the stream. Where is the end stream button? Here we go.